Okay, so I'm back on. This is Positive Love Heals, and a very interesting. My video was interrupted somehow, so I'm certain with all that's going on, I'm certain the frequencies for our social media, live postings, and everything that's happening, is probably kicked me off. But I'm back on just to share surviving the storms and living. There are so many things in which I've been through in my life, in which have been major storms. Excuse me, from being told that I couldn't have a child, from that child being born with her total digestive system having to develop out of the womb. And let me tell you, today was another day in which I received great news. And I'm so glad that even when the doctors told me over 15 years ago that I would not bear children, even when the doctors told me when that child was born that that child would have significant delays, that that child would have a hard time recuperating and living life, let me tell you today, the light of goodness turned that thing all the way around. And I know it had to start with me as well, tuning my mindset, and not just tuning my mindset, but teaching others also when they speak of the scenario, when they speak of the situation, teaching them and training them to speak positive and be positive about the scenario. And let me tell you, it took some years, but when I left the doctors today and receiving another report that we are overcoming, we are surviving our storms. So again, as I was sharing earlier before I was interrupted, my broadcast somehow was interrupted. Let me just encourage you. I don't know what's going to happen within the next few days. In my prayer, my meditation is that positivity, I should just send forth positivity into the earth. And I encourage you to send forth positivity into the earth. As you prepare, also prepare your mind that you will survive, that you will live. I know there are some people that I know that have family members in Texas, and it's very interesting. A text came through the day, early today, and a young man shared how I put a post early what quote unquote to him Walmart means, and when he said, I said, I never saw that, but it's interesting. So go on my post and look at it. You'll see what he said Walmart really means. But nevertheless, those storms are going to come in life. There are always going to be ups and downs. At 40 years old now, I had no idea I was going to have to encounter so many challenges, so many hardships in my life. But let me tell you, I have been surviving every one of those hardships. I don't care if it was rubbing pennies together to make it. Honey, every penny that I got, I put that penny together and I decided, you know what, we're going to live. We're going to survive. Even with my child, when the doctor stated that I wouldn't have children, then turned around when she was born with delays, and they stated that she would have even more delays and more challenges educational wise, mentally and physically. Let me tell you, today I received another report from the doctors, being amazed at how she's overcome. And so a lot of that had to do with training the mindset. A lot of that had to do with thinking positive, releasing positive, period. I cannot speak on something that I've never experienced, but let me tell you, for 15 years and even more than that, going through this process, I see where positive thoughts really do make a difference. Let me tell you, even in work sites, I have experienced some of the most challenging atmospheres. And even in those challenging atmospheres, I had to challenge myself. I had to remind myself that positive love does heal. I had to remind myself that I can survive these storms. You can survive these storms in your life, whether it's physical weather, whether what is mental weather, emotional weather, spiritual weather. You can survive those storms. Just believe in you. Believe in you, love you, share love with others no matter what. When I was watching news today, again, my broadcast was interrupted earlier when I was sharing some things. I was watching the news today and I'm spitting and everything because I'm so excited. I'm so emotional at the same time. I was seeing all this fear broadcast over the news. And I'm like, you know what? Please, Fox, NBC, whomever, will you please consider and start spreading good news? But again, then I said, you know what? It's not up to them to spread the good news. We have to take it amongst ourselves as civilians here in humanity, as humans, to share good news. So load up your Facebook page, load up your YouTube page, load it up, share positive. I mean, just keep sharing, keep encouraging families to believe and just to keep surviving and to keep pushing through. Like my brother said earlier, he says, listen, and this is hilarious, and it really liked my mood, so I hope it liked yours. He said, when you go to the store, if the stores are out of water here in Florida, he said, buy some juice. That'll do for now. And I thought about that thing. I said, you know what? That's a great point. That's a great point. So there again, fear is the nemesis of love. Period. Now, I'm not saying just because you choose to love people that everyone is going to love you in return in the same measure or even greater. You know, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, as you continue to love, when love, and my screen probably got blurry because someone else is trying to call me now, and I don't have time. I'll talk to them later. But when you share love, don't expect it to always come back from those individuals. But understand that it will come back 10 times fold. The reward will come to you. So don't hesitate on showing love, but hesitate, and please trust me. Push aside fear. Let it go. Throw it in the trash. Bury it. It's done. Rest in peace, fear, on today. You will survive all your storms. Again, I don't know what's going to happen here in Tampa, Florida. But what I do know is you can survive and you will survive. I was watching a YouTube earlier that my good friend shared with me, my soul sister, and it was a family. They were speaking on their cell phones, and apparently they're on the second floor in their home in Texas where the water level is rising. And let me tell you, that lady's voice on that interview was calm. You didn't hear not one inch of fear in her voice. And she spoke with pride. She spoke with belief. She spoke with trust. And she spoke that, you know what? She know they're going to survive. She don't know how, but she know they will survive. And that touched me. That touched me. That made me snap back and say, hold up, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? Let me go ahead and turn off this news because I really don't watch it that much anyways. But I decided, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and turn off this news. And I'm going to go ahead and get on Facebook. And I'm going to encourage others and more. You know what? Load up Facebook. Load it up. Shut it down. Share more positive information. I don't care if it's your personal story or if it's another story that someone shared with you. Share some good words today because people need to hear it. People need to be, that word need to be lifted off their shoulders, off their minds, emotionally and spiritually, and let them know that they can survive and that they will survive. Storms are going to always come, whether it's natural storms, whether it's man-created storms, whether it's the storms emotionally, physically, in your life, financially, on the workplace, with your children. Storms are going to come. They're going to come, but honey, let me tell you, after every storm, there is light that is certainly to shine in your life and shine all around you. So if nothing else inspired you, encouraged you on today, that story that I read of that lady and that family staying on the second floor in Houston, Texas, seeing her level of the water rising in her home with her family and her children, not one time did I hear fear in her voice. I heard positivity. I heard peace. I heard calmness in her voice. So love yourself the positive. Love others the positive. You will survive your storms. You will continue to survive your storms. Believe in you. Love you to positive. I'm out. Positive love heals.